Oh my gosh, you guys, what's up? It's me, MadersPie, back again with another tutorial video for SwitchBlade. So this has been a requested tutorial from you guys. How do you make thumbnails? How do I make my thumbnails? You guys all want to know how I do it. So I thought I'm just going to run you through the basic workflow that I usually use, how I do things. And the first thing that I do is usually I set up my green screen and I take up, or I take a picture. Yeah, I take a picture on the green screen, and for today's purposes I've grabbed a picture that looks sort of like this, so you guys will see it on the screen pretty soon. I think I did download it already. Let me just double check here. Thumbs, it is in there, yes, correct. So anyway, what I usually do is if I have a video game that I want to play is I go and I do a Google search for some game imaging. So I'll be, for instance, I don't have this game, by the way. I don't have Splatoon 2, but it's just for demonstrative purposes. Let's say I say Splatoon 2, and then I specifically search for HD images. And sometimes I'll even go as far as saying wallpaper, because wallpapers are usually something that's unique and not too busy. So what I want to do now is, in my opinion, this picture is a little too busy. It's gonna grab attention, sure, but it's really difficult to make out what is going on in this picture. So for me personally, I would look for something a little bit less busy, something like this. This looks cool, or this looks cool, or like this even. Yeah, this looks cool. I don't even know if you guys can see my, yes, you can see my pointer. Cool. So I think for the demonstrative purposes of this specific tutorial, I'm going to grab this wallpaper. So what you want to do is you want to double or just click on it and go download it, obviously. So where do I? This is a preview. Click to view the full size. Let's click to view the full size. Otherwise, I could have theoretically just right-clicked and said download the thing. Okay, cool. Yeah, so there's the full-size image. Right-click, say, save the image as, and then I've got a little folder here. Document, stream, NK, thumbs. This is where I usually keep all of my downloaded wallpapers and images that I work with. So you'll see that I've downloaded this image now. Pretty cool. Right, it's not that difficult. Now, what you want to do is you want to open up GIMP. This is the GNU image manipulation program. You guys can download it on the internet for mahala and free, because it's an open source program. What I do next, file new, and then I say HD. So it's 1920 by 1080. Click OK. Cool. So that'll create a new sort of project. Yeah. Layer, I want to see Windows. Where is hide docs single? Okay. This is a little strange. Like, my resolution is acting up a little bit here. Let's just expand this doc out. Come on. You know you want to. There we go. There's the doc. So basically, this is where you work with your layers, and these are your tools on the left-hand side. So what I do now is I want to delete this layer because it has a background. So I'll right-click on it and say delete layer. And then at the bottom here, there's a little plus icon. It says create a new layer. I'll create a new layer, make sure that I say fill with transparency, and click OK. So that's my base project that I have now. Now I want to start pulling in images. So what I'll do is I'll say file open, and I'll go to my documents where I saved the stuff, stream, NK, thumbs, and let's see, there should be, where's the Splatoon image? That's the Splatoon image. I'll open this up. Cool, it's opening up in theory. Great. What I want to do here then is press Control A to say select all. Copy that stuff. See that I've got the layer selected, by the way, because that's quite important. Then I'll go back here and say paste. Now what it does is it pastes this as a floating layer. So what you want to do is right click and say what's a to new layer, that's it, and then right click again and say layer to image size. That just gives it the default size of 1920 by 1080. So now we've got our base layer. What I want to do now is drag this transparent layer up, because that means that it's going to be visible above this layer. So if I've got this layer selected here, for instance, let's draw something. If I can get the drawing tool, see that I'm drawing all over the image, but it's basically on a new layer. So if I disable the viewing of that layer, then it means that obviously, because I didn't touch the bottom layer, obviously the effect didn't apply there. So what I want to do now is just undo what I did there. Undo the paintbrush. Cool. Then what you want to do is you want to grab the picture that you took of yourself. And this is the picture that I took. And you want to just drag it into GIMP. It's going to open it up in a new image. It should actually. Oh, it's actually asking me for color profiles and stuff. I just say convert. And we should go ahead and see our... Whoa, why did it open up like that? Oh, I know why. You'll see these yellow lines? That means that the image is larger than the canvas that it was taken on. So what I want to do now is resize this specific guy. So there's a tool for resizing, and it's this guy, scale tool. And you want to just resize this, until you actually have an image that you can work with. And notice that this is another sort of like layer that's been implemented here. Again, or added there. So you can drag this around. It's on its own little layer. What I want to do now is right click again and say to new layer. Or is it already? It's already a layer. Yeah, it's already a layer. So that's fine then. You don't have to do that. What I want to do though is say right click and say layer to image size again, because that now snaps it back to the full HD. So if I disable the bottom layer and the between layer, you can see that basically this thing is an image. It's an HD image now, but it's just that portion of the image is painted. The rest is transparent. So I'm going to leave these two disabled for viewing at the moment, because that's what I usually do. Now there's a little tool here. It's a wonder tool. It's called Fuzzy Selector tool. So you click on that guy, and then there's a select by here. Okay. What I do is select by composite. Select that, and then click. And then there's a threshold that you can adjust. If I can just resize this thing. Okay. I wonder why it's scaling so weird on my monitor at the moment. Anyway, you can adjust the threshold, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go say select by green, because I want to get rid of the green. That didn't work because it's selecting part of my finger. So back to composite, sorry. And then adjust the threshold, select the green, then press Shift Delete, or just delete, and you'll see that it deletes all the little green pieces that you've selected. So you keep on doing this. Okay, it selected a part of my beard, so I want to adjust the threshold back. There we go. It didn't select a part of my beard. I think that's a little piece of green. I'm going to delete that. And then over here, I'm going to delete this. Zoom in. Going to delete this little portion of green screen here. This portion. And then what I do is I usually say select by... oh, I think I messed it up, guys. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of an annoyance. Sorry. I know I wasted about a minute of your time, but what you actually want to do is you want to select by LCH Chroma. And then you can set the threshold to about half, and you'll see, or even a little bit less maybe, you'll see that it should select most of the green. And if you press Shift, it selects the color green throughout the entire image, if you press Shift while you're clicking. So we're almost at the right threshold, just a little bit more, not too much. No, that's too much. A little bit back. That's too much, a little bit less again. I'm going to go back quite a bit. And it also depends on where you're clicking on the image, which color it's actually going to select and try and grab. So notice that if I click on the light green, it's completely different than clicking on the dark green. So usually I just click on the light green. Let's move the chroma back again a little bit. Press the shift button. Okay, and then I'll delete that. And then I'm going to do the same for the dark greens. Remember to press shift while you're clicking. And select and delete. And select and delete. And select and delete. And select and delete. And there we go. So what I've effectively done now is I've cropped myself out of the image. Now there is a little bit of a green effect around here. That's not optimal. You can go ahead and start deleting more and more of this green stuff. But this is a demonstration, so I'm not going to be too concerned about the quality of whatever is happening right there. It's also a little cropped. Theoretically, I would have retaken this photo because I would want my entire arm to be in the photo, but whatever. We're going to work with what we have here. So now, if I enable the bottom two layers, you'll see that I'm sort of cut out, but I'm still a part of the image. So now what I do is I just click select none because I don't want anything selected anymore. I'm going to disable this image again and this image. I'm going to use the move tool and adjust my face to where I want it to be. And I think let's move it down a little bit. Let's make it realistic. So I'll be in the bottom left corner in this case, which means that if I enable this layer, I'm going to be over this little girl, and I don't want to be over this, what do they call them again? Squidling, what? Inkling, I don't know. So what I want to do now is, since I've got this layer selected, I'll say layer, and I will say transform, and I will say flip vertically. No, it's not flip vertically, it's flip horizontally. So flip vertically again, and then transform, flip horizontally. So now the inkling or whatever is on that side, and I'm here, so it's not too busy. Everything is cool. Now what I do is just enable this layer again, and remember now I've moved this face of mine, so you can see that the yellow outline is running sort of outside the image. So what I want to do now, again, right click and say layer to image size, so it recenters the image, basically. You'll see all the yellow lines are running outside. Now I use the fuzzy select tool again, okay, and I click outside, but I remember to click shift, and then make sure that you add all these little areas. So if you click shift, you can add another area as well. So remember that if you click outside, it's not selecting this inside here. You want to select that as well. Okay, cool. So that's selected. And then what I want to do is select, and I will say invert, because why? Now basically I've selected inside here. I didn't select outside. So if I delete, you'll see that I delete myself, which is obviously not what we want to do. What we want to do now is say select again, and then what I do is say grow. And I grow by 15 pixels. That means that I'm getting an offset, an outline, you'll see, around my beautiful face there. It's not 100% because obviously there was a little glitch in the selecting here. Let's just zoom in. I just want to see what's going on there. It's cool. It's not the end of the world. If you clean up your image properly, otherwise what you could do is you could use the fuzzy select tool, okay, and say select this face, but then just up your threshold until it selects everything except the transparency. And that should be it. So that's the same as selecting outside and then inside. It's just a different way of doing it. And then say grow 15 pixels. But here's what you want to do now. You don't want to use this outline as it is at the moment, because what's actually going to happen is you're going to edit on this layer, and then obviously you're stuck with what you had. So what I want to do is click add layer again. Okay. So I'm getting a new layer, and I'm adding it below the layer that I have my face on. What I want to do now is click on the paint bucket tool. Obviously, foreground color full, I think is black at the moment, so I'm going to change that around. I want that to be white. and say clickety click click. So now I've got an outline around my character. And if I enable, you'll see that it's still there. So that's pretty cool. But there's something else that you can do if you want to. So you've got the outline layer selected. Notice if I close that down, it's just white entirely. But if I disable the view. But if you've got the outline selected, you can go again and say select, none. Okay, and then there's cool filters here. You can go filter, blur, and I usually use Gaussian blur. Which, if you want that sort of glowing effect on the outside of your outline, this is how you do it. So you'll go and you'll say blur this. Okay, a little bit. Cool. Enable the layer and you'll see that, I've got a nice little blur effect going on there. Sweet, right? Okay, now the next thing that I want to do, obviously I want to grab a logo. So what I want to do is get here and say Splatoon 2 logo and search for a PNG because that's already got a transparent background. So I can grab Splatoon 2, transparent PNG. Let's right click it, say copy image. And let's go back to our GIMP, right? And select this layer because it's an empty layer and paste. And then say not to new layer group, to new layer. There we go. Great. So remember the rules are that this is an image on its own little layer, so it's not actually affecting any of the other images that I'm doing. So what I want to do now is say layer to image size, use my fuzzy tool, select all the white outside, just click the threshold back a little bit. Oh, you don't want to select by chroma anymore. You want to select by composite now. And then delete, because now I deleted the white background, which is pretty nice and pretty neat. So what I can do now is move the logo around where I want it. And then I can say right click on the layer and say layer to image size. Remember that just recenters the image again. And just say select none. Get rid of that selection, and there we go, we have our logo. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do the same thing that I did for the face but with the logo. So I'm going to go fuzzy select, I'm going to select outside and then say select invert, and then I'm going to go select grow by 15, select the bottom layer, the layer that I created in the beginning of this tutorial, because that's an available layer already, so I'm just going to use it. There's all sorts of things you can do here. You can go and say gradient full or bucket full. You can add a pattern full. You can do weird things here. So I encourage you to experiment with that. But for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to keep it simple. Just say that I want to fill this selection again. Why isn't it filling? Foreground full. That's it. Did I mess up? No, I didn't. What's going on? Okay, let's just reselect here. So I'm going to go select again. Say select invert. Select grow. Whoa. Fuzzy select. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer, that's why. Select invert. So you'll notice that if you're not on the right layer, it's not going to select the outline because there's nothing there. Select, grow, 15, go to the layer below it, say bucket full, color it in. It's not coloring in. Why isn't it coloring in? Well, let's just add a new layer then. Screw that layer. It sort of appears to be broken. And it's on the new layer. It's black. It's because I changed the color here to black. I want that to be white. Cool. And let's go ahead and fill that. Then again, select none. Filters, repeat the Gaussian blur so we get that nice effect there. And guys, I mean, that's basically how I do my thumbnails. So what you want to do now is say file, export this as a PNG file. So select file type. You can select PNG. And we'll call this guy Splatoon 2. And what I want to do is save it obviously in my thumbnails folder. So export. And there we go. Export. I apologize for the freaking scaling of my stuff. I don't know what's going on. So it's exporting the Splatoon 2 thumbnail. Now if I go to my folder, there is my PNG. And it's quite large actually, to be honest. It's 2.4 megabytes. So you might consider bringing this guy down to 720p. But yeah, I mean, there we go. That's my thumbnail. And that's the process that I use. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, remember you can comment below. You can just ask away and I'll probably answer if I can. If I cannot answer, I'll just make another video, show you guys how I do what I do. But this is the basic process. And I hope you guys can use it and I hope you guys have fun with this. Anyway, I've been MadersPie for SwitchBlade with another tutorial. You guys have fun out there. Stay safe, stay clean, wash your hands, wear your mask, do your things. I love each and every one of you. Thanks so much for the watches and thanks so much for the likes. Have fun. Be good. Over and out.